Most men don't realize it, but women notice far more than they let on. Not just the words you speak, but the rhythm of your steps, the pauses in your gaze, the way your shoulders hold tension, even the smallest unconscious movements you make. And here's the surprising part. Some of these subtle, unplanned gestures don't just get noticed. They create an instant pull that logic can't explain. These are the little signals that bypass her mind and go straight to her instincts. They're the quiet moments that make her lean closer, feel that spark, and think, what is it about this man? Most men spend their lives trying to impress with money, loud actions, or flashy appearances. But the truth, it's the unspoken confidence, the calm, grounded mastery of your presence. That's what leaves a lasting mark. Today, I'll share 9 overlooked, subconscious gestures that ignite attraction without a single word. Once you understand them, you'll never walk into a room, start a conversation, or hold someone's gaze the same way again. Share your thoughts in the comments. Tap the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications because you won't want to miss what's coming next. Number 1, the slow head tilt. It's such a small movement that most men overlook it. Yet, when done with intention, tilting your head slightly and slowly, while truly listening or maintaining steady eye contact, it awakens something primal in the human mind. It doesn't merely convey curiosity. It communicates emotional openness. It shows that you are grounded, steady, and trustworthy. That subtle tilt says without words, I see you. You are safe here. My attention is yours. This is more than polite body language. It's a signal deeply rooted in emotional memory. From birth, humans recognize this gesture. It mirrors what infants do when they are exploring or seeking reassurance. Neuroscientists call it the caregiver response, a subconscious mechanism that makes others instinctively trust you more. To a woman, that slow, measured tilt doesn't feel like judgment or distraction. It feels like you are studying something deeper, like you've decided she is worth understanding. In the language of body communication, this is known as a rapport gesture. It naturally lowers defenses. It draws people into a more intimate and open exchange without forcing it. And this matters because most people today listen only to reply, waiting for their turn to speak. A man who listens to understand, who makes his presence felt through stillness, stands out in a way that is remembered. When she's speaking, don't reduce your engagement to mechanical nods or empty affirmations. Let your body lean slightly into the moment. Let the tilt come from genuine focus, not from a calculated trick. Show her that your thoughts are not elsewhere, that you value what is unfolding in real time. Presence like this is rare, and rarity commands attention. It's not about playing a role or performing a gesture for effect. It's about aligning your body language with an inner state of composure and respect. When the two match, people feel it without being able to explain why. And in that unspoken space, attraction and respect begin to take root. Number 2, the one eyebrow raise. The silent challenge. Few gestures are as small yet as charged with meaning. A single brow lifting done with precision and restraint can change the entire energy of an interaction, especially when timed in response to something bold, playful, or slightly provocative. It sends a message that needs no words. Oh, is that so? It's a spark of challenge mixed with composure. Not an attack, not mockery, but a subtle test. Body language specialists call this a micro-challenge. a fleeting moment where curiosity and skepticism meet. It tells the other person you're not hanging on every word. You're weighing them. And that in itself can be disarming. Why does it matter? Because it hints at self-possession. It suggests depth and an inner life you don't immediately open to others. A man who uses it well doesn't hand out his full attention like loose change. He makes people earn it. And the right kind of woman finds that magnetic. Consider the contrast. Most men nod too often, agree too quickly, or rush to validate every statement. That constant approval is predictable and forgettable, but the man who raises an eyebrow, just slightly accompanied by the faintest trace of interest, creates tension. This is what strategist Robert Greene describes as controlled tension, the kind that draws others in rather than pushing them away. Still, subtlety is everything. Overdo it, and you slip into caricature like a cartoon villain or someone with a nervous twitch. Use it without the right timing, and the signal is lost. The art lies in scarcity. Reserve it for moments that matter. Pair it with a knowing half smile or a thoughtful pause. Let it feel effortless, like it rose naturally from your attention, not from a rehearsed trick. When done with discipline, that single flicker of movement can carry the weight of a full sentence. It's a gesture that says, I am listening, but I am not easily swayed. And that, more than approval, earns respect. Number 3, the calm lean. At first glance, it seems almost too simple, just leaning in. But when done with precision, timing, and control, it becomes one of the most powerful non-verbal signals you can send. This is not the over-eager lunge of a man desperate to close the gap, nor the restless shifting of someone trying to force intimacy. It is measured gravity, an intentional shift that makes the surrounding world fade, until it feels like the two of you are in your own private space. When you lean in slowly, never too soon, never too close, you trigger one of the oldest instincts in human connection. From a neuroscience perspective, that subtle movement can stimulate the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone associated with trust, comfort, and closeness. It's the same chemical response activated during moments of deep conversation, genuine rapport, or physical affection. But here's the key: the effect only works when it feels unforced. The movement must appear natural, as though your body is quietly drawn toward the connection taking shape. Rush it, and you risk sparking the body's fight or flight response, signaling intrusion instead of safety. Done right, it sends the silent message: I'm not here to crowd you, I'm here with you. This, according to body language experts, is the defining line between magnetic presence and social pressure. There's also a sweet spot in distance. Lean in about 2 inches closer than your normal conversational range, but only once she is already engaged. Get the timing right, and you create what feels like an invisible boundary around the two of you. A velvet rope that shields the moment from the noise of the outside world. In that space, she feels valued, like she holds a unique place in your attention. Women remember that feeling. It's not about dramatics. It's about anchoring the interaction in presence, but the margin for error is real. Lean too far, too fast, or close the space before the connection is real, and the moment collapses. You go from intriguing to misread in seconds. So lean with presence, not pressure. Let the moment draw you in. Rather than forcing your body forward, watch her posture, her breathing, her tone. If you're truly attentive, her body will tell you when the time is right. And when it is, That calm, deliberate lean will speak volumes without a single word. Number 4, the jaw or chin touch. You may not even notice yourself doing it. In the middle of a conversation, your fingers rest lightly on your jaw or stroke your chin while your eyes hold steady. It's not fidgeting, it's reflection. And whether you intend it or not, it sends a message that draws attention. That quiet, deliberate touch speaks volumes. I'm engaged. I'm considering. I'm steady in my own thoughts. From an evolutionary perspective, there's more happening than you realize. The jawline is one of the strongest visual indicators of testosterone, a feature that, for thousands of years, has signaled strength and vitality. When your hand moves along it, even subconsciously, you highlight a trait that human instinct is wired to notice. Think of it as silent advertising. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're simply existing in your own presence. But when you pair that touch with unbroken eye contact, you invite the other person into a rare moment, one that feels as if they've been given a glimpse into your private inner process. Writers on attraction, like Christopher Canwell in Atomic Attraction, have observed that men who naturally use gestures like this tend to project calm authority, grounded masculinity, and self-possession. It's not an act. It's the behavior of someone who thinks before speaking, someone comfortable with pauses, someone unafraid of stillness. And that, more than constant chatter, captures attention. Watching such a moment can feel like watching a puzzle being solved. It creates curiosity, an unspoken pull that makes others want to understand what's happening behind your expression. This is the intellectual allure that doesn't shout for attention, yet holds it effortlessly. So, next time you feel your hand drift to your jaw mid-conversation, don't rush to drop it. Let it rest for a moment longer. Let them see that you're thinking, that your mind is somewhere deeper than the surface exchange of words. Because mystery isn't always loud. Sometimes it lives in the quiet space between thoughts where the most compelling presence is found. Number 5, the pause before speaking. The alpha beat. Few habits are as underestimated as this one. Most men feel compelled to fill every gap in conversation, as if silence is a flaw that must be erased. They treat quiet like it's awkward, or worse, a sign of weakness. But the truth is, a man who waits before speaking radiates composure. That half-second of stillness is not hesitation, it's control. It declares that you are not scrambling for approval, not racing to impress. You're setting the pace, not following it. Research from UCLA confirms what instinct already knows. People who pause before responding are often seen as more intelligent, more deliberate, and more trustworthy. Yet this is only the surface. Beneath it lies a subtle form of power. By pausing, you break the rhythm most people expect. You take ownership of the moment without adding extra words. You create an unspoken pull suspense that works in your favor. This is called anticipation tension. In that short delay, others lean in. They begin wondering what you will say, and the weight of your next words grows before they are even spoken. It's the same psychological mechanism that makes a brief delay on a slot machine so addictive. The reward feels greater when it's not immediate. Now, imagine pairing this pause with a minimal, deliberate gesture, perhaps opening your palms slightly or pressing your fingertips together. The combination signals calm dominance. It tells the room, I am not here to react. I respond with purpose. This is the kind of energy that changes the atmosphere before you even speak. Conversations slow. People listen more intently. And the impression you leave lingers well beyond your last word. The pause before speaking isn't about playing games. It's about aligning your words with your presence, ensuring that when you do speak, your message carries the weight of someone who chooses each word, not someone who throws them away. Master that, and silence becomes your ally, not your enemy. Number 6. The hand steeple, also called the silent power move. Picture this. You're speaking. Your words are measured, steady, and then, almost without thinking, your fingertips rise and meet, forming a soft triangle in the air. That's not an accident. That's deliberate body language at work. Most men don't even realize when they do it. Yet it's one of the most commanding signals you can send without uttering a single extra word. Why does it work? Because it quietly claims space without being aggressive. Because it channels your movements into something intentional instead of restless. And because it naturally slows your pace, grounding your energy so that the room adjusts to you. This is not fidgeting. It's calculated stillness. The kind of stillness you'll see in a high-stakes negotiation between powerful leaders or across the table during a moment of quiet connection with someone deeply drawn to you. When you use the steeple while speaking, especially during a decisive point, your entire presence changes. Your words land heavier, your presence feels more anchored, and you project a form of authority that women instinctively read as leadership. But here's where it gets more interesting. There's an unconscious association at play. The steeple resembles the gesture of prayer. In the human mind, that posture signals thoughtfulness, depth, and contemplation. It suggests you are a man who reflects before acting. And from an evolutionary perspective, this matters. Men who could think ahead, solve problems, and navigate uncertainty were the ones who kept their tribes alive. That's why thoughtfulness is still magnetic today. It's hardwired into what we value in strong men. One important caution: avoid the reverse steeple where the fingertips point downward, hands inverted. Almost like a movie villain plotting his next move. That body language reads as arrogance, even a hint of menace. It destroys the calm, confident tone you're trying to set. Instead, stick with the classic: fingertips lightly pressed, elbows relaxed, body upright, voice deliberate. Nothing forced, nothing exaggerated, just a quiet signal that says, I know who I am. I don't need to prove it to anyone. This is elegance in male form, subtle, unshakable, and infinitely more powerful than any empty display of dominance. Number 7. The shoulder shrug plus smirk combo. They call it flirtation condensed into a single frame. A quick, subtle gesture that speaks volumes without a word. Picture this. You lift one shoulder in a casual, almost lazy shrug. Nothing dramatic, just enough to suggest you're unconcerned. At the same moment, the corner of your mouth curves into a faint, knowing smirk. That's it. And yet, the impact is immediate. This tiny pairing works because it's a paradox. The shrug says, I'm easygoing. I'm not chasing. The smirk says, but I'm aware of the spark between us. Put together, it creates what psychologists call flirt tension, the perfect blend of relaxed detachment and magnetic intrigue. Relationship expert Dominic Mann calls gestures like this the push-pull in motion. It's the sweet spot between trying too hard and not trying at all. Too much effort feels needy. No effort at all feels indifferent. But this, it's presence without pressure, charm without desperation, The magic is in how it feels to her. It's playful, unexpected, and laced with subtle confidence. She doesn't have to guess your intention entirely, and that's what makes her curious. In human connection, curiosity is one of the strongest attraction triggers. A word of caution, two shoulder shrugs, rarely work the same way. They tend to read as uncertainty or dismissal, but a one-shoulder shrug, that's where the charisma lives. It's casual enough to disarm her, yet sharp enough to leave an impression, even if she doesn't react instantly. This moment lingers in her memory. It's the kind of visual cue that resurfaces later, making her smile without knowing why. And when a gesture leaves her, replaying it in her head, you've already shifted the dynamic. Simple, playful, memorable. That's the shoulder shrug plus smirk combo in action. Number 8. The eye plus half smile combo. This is where attraction moves into a different league. Picture the moment across the room. Your eyes meet hers. You don't look away immediately. You let that gaze settle, just long enough for her to realize it's deliberate. Then, without breaking the connection, you give a faint half smile. Not a wide grin, not a smirk dripping with arrogance, just a subtle, knowing curve of the lips, like the two of you share a secret that nobody else in the room could ever understand. That single exchange can feel like the world slowed down. It's what behavioral experts call a measured emotional reveal, a suggestion of warmth, held back just enough to invite curiosity. It's the difference between showing her the entire page and letting her glimpse only the first line. According to leading researchers on human connection, this pairing of steady eye contact and restrained smile can trigger a rush of chemicals, especially phenylethylamine, the same compound linked to the head-spinning sensation people describe as falling in love. Meaning, in a matter of seconds, you can replicate the brain chemistry of romance without saying a single word. The magic lies in the secrecy. Done right. It's intriguing. Done wrong. It slips into the territory of an unwanted stare. The eye contact says, "I see you." The half smile adds, "And I'm not telling anyone else what I see." Now there's an unspoken narrative between you, one that feels personal, even thrilling. It plants questions in her mind that linger far longer than small talk ever could. Who is this man? Why does that moment replay in her head hours later? That's the power of an intentional look and a restrained smile. It doesn't just make an impression, it builds a mystery that she'll want to solve. Number 9, the space-claiming gesture. Have you ever watched a man walk into a room and without speaking, without doing anything flashy, the energy shifts, people glance up, conversations pause for a split second, and somehow, everyone knows he matters. Why? Because of the way he occupies space. This is what I call the space-claiming gesture, a primal display of confidence that predates words, fashion, or technology. And when it's done right, it speaks louder than any introduction. Picture this: he enters, moves naturally, and without hesitation places one hand along the back of a chair, or he leans casually against a booth, arm draped effortlessly, as if the space already belongs to him. When he stands, his stance is grounded, feet set just wider than average, weight balanced, not stiff, not slouched. When he leans back, it's slow, deliberate, like time is on his side. These aren't random postures. They are what body language experts call territorial displays, subtle cues that tell the subconscious mind, this man is comfortable, confident, and not in need of anyone's approval. He isn't crowding people. He isn't trying to prove a point. He's simply being, and that just being is magnetic. Psychologists have a name for this, the high-status perception bias. It's the instinct that tells our brain, if he can hold ground without apology, he must be important. This wiring runs deep back to the days when status was determined by who could protect, lead, and hold their place around the fire. Long before likes and followers, power was measured by who could walk into a gathering and make their presence felt without a single word. In today's world, this is the difference between the man who asks for attention and the man who draws it naturally. One chases, the other attracts. And here's the part most men miss. This isn't performance. It's not an act you switch on and off. When a man leans back in his chair, arm resting casually along the top, and speaks with measured authority, there's no sense of trying. It's effortless. It's dangerous in all the right ways because it's real. Bonus insight pair, space claiming with stillness. Stillness is one of the most underrated displays of masculine energy. The less you fidget, the fewer unnecessary gestures you make, the more your presence expands when your movements are deliberate. Every shift in posture carries weight. You want her leaning in, not because you demanded her attention, but because something about you makes her curious. You want her wondering, why does this man feel different? So own the space you're in. Claim it without aggression, without apology. Let your body say, I belong here, because once you believe it, everyone else will feel it. So here's the takeaway. None of these gestures are about pretending or putting on an act. They're not tricks. They're not canned lines. They're simply the natural language of presence, the kind that quietly pulls people toward you without them fully knowing why. Women pick up on these cues instinctively because they speak directly to the subconscious mind. The real question is, which of these signals are you already giving without noticing, and which could you start practicing intentionally so that your presence becomes something you control, not something left to chance? Think about it. Share your thoughts in the comments. Every perspective adds to the conversation, and your insights help shape what we explore next here on The Stoic Spirit. If even one idea from today's video shifted the way you see yourself or others, take a second to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the strategies that can strengthen your presence and influence. In the next video, we'll break down 7 body language cues women use when they're quietly testing your confidence and how to pass every single one with calm, silent mastery. Until then, observe more, move with purpose, and own the space you stand in.